Hey guys, John Bauernfein here, accompanied by two IDS staffers who we road tripped together with to New York City for IU Georgetown. Sam Beishuizen, Alden Woods. Um, Great game, the best game I've ever covered. IU lost though in overtime, 91-87 to Georgetown. Great game on all fronts. Go right to the end of it. Yogi Ferrell hits two threes, banks one of them in. IU's down six, and late in regulation, since the game to overtime, Georgetown scores the first 7 points in overtime. IU gets it to within three, but Devontae Smith-Rivera, who finished with 29 points, hits a step-back jumper over Yogi, put it to give the Hoyas the lead, a 5-point lead, with about 30 seconds left. What did you guys see in the game that really stood out to you?
Mostly the same thing you did. Now we see a hockey stadium out there, but in the basketball game, we saw two Indianapolis kids going head to head, and Devontae Smith and Devontae Smith Rivera. That's the second part of it, and Yogi Ferrell, who combined to basically steal the show. They were going back and forth all game long. Yogi obviously got hot in the end of the second half, and Smith Rivera had the better of him in the overtime period. But really, we saw Yogi Ferrell just kind of put this team on his back when he needed to, because he wasn't getting scoring from anywhere else. He wasn't getting any post presence from Hunter Mascara. It needed to be Yogi's time to kind of take over. He tried to, came really close, even though that banked in three might have been a little lucky. But he forced an overtime, like you said, a fun game to watch. In the end, just came up short.
Yeah, we saw a four-man IU team too. Outside of the combo of Yogi Ferrell, Troy Williams, James Blackman, and Rob Johnson, IU only scored 4 points. They scored 87 points in this game, and those four combined for 83 of them. They only got 2 points off the bench. They got 13 rebounds off the bench, and they got no sort of production whatsoever outside of those four guys, which makes it really hard to do anything offensively, especially when the defense knows where that's coming from.
This was a frustrated offense. That you mentioned that because Troy Williams had that point where in the first half he was really upset. He was like yelling at Yogi. He was yelling at Yogi of all people, to get the offense kind of moving. He got really happy a few plays later. He had like a dunk or like a putback. So he was all like, okay, whatever, we're good now. But the offense was kind of stagnant for a majority of that second half. And I think it's just when you got those four guys, like you said, they're kind of running the show, and maybe those four aren't clicking with whoever's on the bench out there not really performing. It just becomes awkward for those guys to try to do anything.
You might be in trouble if Troy Williams is running your offense and yelling at other people and pointing at them to tell them where to go, because a lot of times Troy Williams doesn't really know where he's going on offense. It was just kind of a sign of where IU's offense was in that first half. It wasn't anything great until the last 5 minutes.
Which is odd because though they did score more points in the first half, they still scored 37 points in the second half and actually made 2 more shots in the second half. But of course, less three-pointers. They made, 7 threes in the first half. Offense looked really good once again, but couldn't pull it out. Hunter Mascara, who looked good the past 2 games, 2 points. His first basket comes with 4 seconds left in overtime once the game is over. What he finished with, 1 rebound.
6 rebounds.
6 rebounds. But 1 rebound up until 10 minutes left in the game.
Yeah, he didn't do much.
And I previewed this game, talking a lot about Josh Smith. Of course, he plays 8 minutes in the first half, gets 3 fouls in the first half, hardly plays. When he played in the second half, the game was totally different. Georgetown, granted, could have gotten run out of the building. IU scored on 4 of its first 5 possessions in the second half. Devontae Smith-Rivera makes 3 threes even before the first media timeout of the second half. Really keeps him in the game. Josh Smith comes in with about 14 minutes left in the second half. When Hunter goes out, plays 6 or 7 minutes in a row, which is really good for him, I would imagine. They come back. Georgetown goes up by 4. IU, goes up by 3. Georgetown comes back. Yogi, hits the threes. So a really good game, but IU just couldn't pull it out. And I saw someone tweet this. I believe it was Fran Priscilla of ESPN, just saying how good this IU team could be if they had just some decent, two-way player on offense and defense who's nothing really spectacular, but who can play solid defense. They couldn't do anything when Josh Smith was on the floor, really, to stop Georgetown. And that's, going to be the case with this team moving forward. Last points, guys?
Troy Williams should be that player. He's so athletic. He should be that two-way player that can shut down people. I keep on wanting him to be Sean Marion Like Sean Marion from like 4 years ago, not the old one now with Cleveland. He's not as good, but he should be one of those players that can be a two-way player.
Yeah.
Yogi Ferrell can't be your best two-way player if you want to compete in the Big Ten.
I mean,
you just can't.
Troy, 23 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, a block, 2 steals. I mean, that's pretty impressive. But then again, his defense is wishy-washy at best.
It's everybody.
Every game for the last 2 weeks, but this was the best game I've ever seen Troy Williams play.
The last 3 consecutive games have been the best games.
They've been the best ever since the Louisville game where he was just terrible at turning the ball over left and right. We've seen a different Troy Williams where if he's driving to the basket, he's actually making passes, he's kicking out, he's making simple plays. And Green has said before that the most important thing with Troy is to make simple plays and make basketball easy and make it simple, and that's what he's been doing. And he had 4 assists tonight. That's a career high for him. I've never seen that before.
Well, for the Indiana State Daily Student, inside Indiana, take care, guys. We have about 12 hours to go to get back to Bloomington tonight, and our car may or may not be on the streets of New York. I don't know. We parked. It was free parking. We were told.
A nice man told us it was free to park.
2 nice men told us it was free to park there.
I think they're nice.
They did tell us to lock our car several times, make sure nothing was stolen. But we're pretty sure it's a good part of New York. So we're going to get out of here. Happy holidays.